The storm had passed, but the air still smelled of rain and iron when Weston Clay found the tracks. A mare's print, small boot heel beside it, and blood, a thin smear that glistened like rust in the morning light. He followed the trail down the ridge until it met the river. The water ran high from the storm, cold and fast. There, tangled among reeds and mud, he saw her, an Apache girl, young, barely breathing. Her long black hair clung to her shoulders. Her buckskin dress was torn, her hands bruised from running. Weston slid from his horse and stepped into the water, his boots sinking into the silt. "Easy," he said softly. "You're safe now." Her eyes fluttered open, wild and uncertain. She tried to pull away, but her strength was gone. He wrapped his coat around her and carried her to dry ground. When she woke again, she was inside his small cabin north of the river. A fire burned low in the hearth. He sat across from her, cleaning mud from his hands. "Name's Weston Clay. You got one?" After a pause, she whispered, "Halona Ama." He nodded once. "You rest. You're hurt." She turned her face to the wall. "They came at dawn, took everything. My brother tried to stop them." Her voice trembled, then broke. Weston didn't ask more. He'd seen what men like that left behind. For 2 days she lay quiet, healing slowly. On the third, when she tried to stand, he brought her a folded shawl. "You'll need this when you go," he said. Halona looked up at him. "You saved me. I won't forget." He shrugged, embarrassed. "Don't owe me nothing, ma'am. Just try to live." By the time he turned back to the window, she was gone.
15 summers changed the land, but not its heart. The river had cut a deeper path, the mines had gone quiet, and in their place rose a town that called itself Prospect Crossing, a name too proud for its size. Weston Clay still lived a few miles west, running cattle, speaking little. The lines around his eyes had deepened. His voice had turned rough as gravel. He came to town rarely, mostly for supplies, sometimes for whiskey, never for company. That changed the day the train arrived. The whistle echoed across the valley, loud and foreign. When the steam cleared, a woman stepped down from the passenger car, tall, poised, wearing a dark riding skirt and a wide hat. Her hair gleamed black in the sun. People stopped to stare. She walked through the dust with quiet confidence, boots clicking, eyes scanning the town as though taking its measure. At the edge of Main Street, she stopped in front of a sign that read, "Silas Duvall & Co., Mercantile, Mines, and Land." Weston, leaning against his horse outside the saloon, noticed her. Something about the tilt of her chin caught in his chest like a memory he couldn't name. It wasn't until she turned toward him that he saw it, the faint scar at her temple. Halona Ama. He took off his hat, almost shy. "Didn't think I'd see you again." She smiled faintly. "I told you I wouldn't forget." Silas Duvall ran the town the way a spider runs its web, quiet, efficient, and deadly to anything that struggled too long. He'd arrived from back east with money enough to buy half the valley and papers to claim the rest. Now every rancher and miner paid him one way or another. When Halona asked to see him, his clerk looked uneasy. "She's Apache," he whispered. "She's business," Duvall replied. "Show her in." She entered his office, eyes sharp but calm. "I represent the tribal cooperative east of the river," she said. "We are reclaiming land seized under false contracts. These papers outline—" He interrupted her with a smile that never reached his eyes. "My dear, the only thing those papers outline is a dream. The law doesn't favor ghosts." "I've seen your contracts," she said evenly, "and the law doesn't favor thieves either." The silence that followed was brittle as glass. Then Duval chuckled. "You're brave, I'll give you that, but I own this town and everyone in it." "Not everyone," she said, and left before he could answer. That evening, Duval's foreman rode out with 3 men. The moon was rising. Their orders were simple: send her back to the desert where she belongs.
Weston found her again the next day at the old livery, her horse saddled, her eyes scanning the ridges. "You riding out?" he asked. "Not yet," she said. "I have work to finish." He saw the determination in her face and the danger in it. "You crossed Duval," he said quietly. "That man's got no mercy." "Then neither do I," she replied. "He took land from my people. My brother died for it." Weston looked down at his hands, calloused and rough. 15 years ago, I pulled you from that river. Didn't know why. Maybe now I do." She met his eyes. "I don't need saving." He smiled just a little. "Didn't say you did, but I ain't riding away either."
Night fell fast. The wind picked up, dragging clouds across the moon. Weston waited in the barn, rifle across his lap. He'd seen 3 riders circling earlier, Duval's men, sloppy but dangerous. When the first shot cracked through the dark, he rolled behind the wagon, returning fire. 2 flashes answered from the hill. Sparks lit the barn door. Halona crouched beside him, calm even under gunfire. "They'll try to drive us into the open," she said. "You done this before?" "Enough times to know when a man hides behind fear." Weston grinned despite himself. "Then let's show 'em fear's overrated." When the riders charged, the fight was quick and brutal. Weston dropped one with a clean shot through the shoulder. Halona took the second with a steady aim that startled him. The third tried to flee. She mounted before he'd gone 50 yards and ran him down, dragging him back through the dust. He gasped, "Duval'll kill you both." She leaned close. "Not if I reach him first." They rode into Prospect Crossing just before dawn, dragging the wounded man behind them. The town was still asleep, except for the dogs that barked at the sound of hooves. Halona dismounted in front of Duval's storehouse and walked straight to the door. Weston followed, rifle slung across his shoulder. Inside, the lamps still burned. Duval sat behind his desk, perfectly composed, as though he'd been expecting them. "Miss Ama and Mr. Clay, I hear you've taken up law enforcement." Halona dropped the bloodied man at his feet. "He confessed, said you sent them." Duval's smile didn't waver. "Men say many things when they're scared." "Then maybe you should start listening," Weston said. The businessman's eyes flicked to the gun. "Careful, cowboy. The law's still mine." "Not today," Halona said. She tossed a bundle of papers onto his desk. His signed confessions, contracts, and letters of bribery. "You built your empire on lies. I built a case with truth." Duval's expression cracked for the first time. "You'll never prove it." "Already have," she said. "The deputy's on his way from Tucson. You'll meet him at sunrise." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Duval reached slowly for the drawer of his desk. Weston fired once, the bullet splitting the handle before the gun inside could clear it. "Don't," Weston said. "You've taken enough." When the deputy arrived hours later, Duval was gone, vanished into the desert night. Some said he fled south. Others claimed he drowned crossing the river he thought he owned. Weston didn't chase him. He'd seen too many ghosts in the dust already. Halona stood beside him as the sun broke over the mesas. "He'll try again somewhere else," she said. "Maybe," Weston replied, "but he won't come back here." They watched the light spill across the land, turning the red rock gold. For the first time in years, Weston felt the air ease in his lungs. "You'll stay?" he asked. "For a while," she said. "There's land to restore, and people who remember." He nodded. "Guess that's reason enough."
By summer, the valley had begun to heal. The fields near the river grew green again. The trading post reopened under a new name, Ama and Clay Mercantile. Small but honest. Nantandasan, now an elder of Halona's people, came often to the porch. "You keep the peace between two worlds," he told them. "That is harder than winning any war." Halona smiled. "Peace isn't given, Nantan. It's built." Weston leaned against the railing, hat tilted back, watching the sky. "You ever think about that day at the river?" he asked. "Every morning," she said. "You pulled me from the water. I thought I owed you my life." He shook his head. "You never owed me a thing." She stepped closer, the sunlight glinting off the turquoise pendant at her throat. "Maybe not, but I'm glad I came back anyway." He looked at her then, really looked. Not the girl from the river, but the woman who'd stood up to a man like Duval and changed a town without firing a shot. "Guess we both found something worth keeping," he said. They stood there as the sun climbed higher, warming the land, the river whispering below. The past had washed through them both, rough, relentless, but cleansing all the same. The wind carried the scent of sage and new earth, and for the first time in a long while, the land felt alive again. And when Weston Clay reached for her hand, Halona Ama didn't pull away.